Okay guys, so another lesson for academic students, and today we're looking at multiple charts. I've called this lesson "Is the information related?" More because I need to call it something than it's specific to these multiple charts. This question is prominent for every multiple chart question that you do, and we'll look at that in a bit more detail. This question was sent to me by a student, and I understand the picture quality isn't fantastic, but there's enough here for us to see what we need to do. So I'll just read it out loud in case some of you cannot read it. The question statement up here: the charts below give information about the amount and types of water in the world, and also tell the use of water in 3 areas in 3 countries. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So the title of the first graph here is Total World Water. Fresh water represents 2.5%, saline water represents 97.5%. The next chart represents total fresh water with underground ice at 0.9%, fresh renewable water at 0.3%, fresh underground water at 29.9%, frozen water, and then in brackets it says glaciers and permanent snow represents 69.8%. And then this third chart at the bottom, the bar charts, is use of water for Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and the 3 different categories are domestic use, industry, and agriculture. I think the percentages should be clear enough for the one on the bottom, so I'm not going to go into this. So I think the way to get the most benefit from this demo lesson is if you answer this question first and then watch the rest of this video once you've finished. So I'm just going to stop for 5 seconds, you pause the video, write a full answer, so your 4 paragraphs for this question, and then I'll go through what the best way to answer the question is, or at least the way I would answer the question. So just pause the video and press play when you're ready. Right, so we're going to move on to analysing the question, and like the name of the lesson, you need to first just look and see, is the information related? So is the information in each graph, so we have 3, 1, 2, 3, they're separate graphs, but in what way are they connected? So here, total world water, so we have salty water and fresh water. Then the second one is total fresh water. So what we have is this whole chart represents the 2.5% from the first chart. Okay, so that's an important connection between here. So this 2.5% is broken down into 100% of where it comes from here. The third chart then, use of water. So this isn't, okay, so this is just total use of water. We're not told if this is fresh water or if this is salty water. So basically, there is no direct connection except that it's about water. So you won't be making any comparison between the bar charts and the pie charts, but there is a comparison to make here that the fresh water is the connection. Okay, so paraphrase then, as usual, we're just going to say, instead of saying the charts, we're going to say the graphs. So the graphs provide information in relation to the amount and sources of water in the world, and also inform us of the primary uses of water in 3 countries. So again, you could name the 3 countries there if you wanted to avoid. So obviously there are many ways to paraphrase, but that's what I would have said there. As always, when you're paraphrasing, all the most important things to look out for are, did you forget to include any information that was in the question statement, and did you add anything that wasn't in the question statement? So what you want is the exact same meaning, nothing extra, nothing less. In your overview then, I think the most important thing would be to kind of categorize it into 2 key features, so that you can follow these 2 key features as the content for your details paragraphs later. It just makes it tidier if you can do it that way. What I would have done here is I would have said that, okay, so overall, amongst the total water in the world, fresh water only makes up a very small proportion of this. Yet amongst, okay, not yet, but amongst that small proportion, most of this water is located in glaciers and permanent snows. So that would be my first key feature, just to say that, because you want to connect with fresh water. So if you said saline water, this wouldn't be connected, but if you say fresh water, you can refer to this one. So I'd say, so this is the key feature. That's the small part of the total, and of that, that's the main part. Second key feature then would be, I think it would probably be easiest just to say like which ones were the highest. Because when you see here, this is like domestic use is second, first, and second, so that's not really very useful. Industry is third, second, and first. So again, that's too scattered to, like in a key feature, it would be hard to explain that in a short number of words. So you don't want to go into too much detail. You don't want to be going on for too long in your details paragraphs. Agriculture then is primary use in Egypt, primary use in Saudi Arabia, and secondary in Canada. Right. So I'll probably just go with the primary, and primary. So something like, although domestic use was the primary consumer of water in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, Canada used most of its water for industry. Okay, so that's pretty much it, just I would use it that way. Again, whatever way you choose to represent the information is fine, but I think that would be the most straightforward here. So it's the primary in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, whereas industry is the primary in Canada. That would be my overview. And then the details paragraphs, you're just going to flesh it out. So it would be best if you went into the first details paragraph. You're going to include these 2 percentages first, and then move on to all 4 percentages in the second part of your first details paragraphs. So I've just covered the 2 pie charts in my first one. Then in the second details paragraph, I think I put Egypt and Saudi Arabia together just because they both have industry as the primary. So I would talk about industry being the primary, and then you can choose perhaps the secondary for each one. There's no need to include everything. And then just say Canada was this, and maybe the secondary one again. For one details paragraph, it's probably a bit much to squeeze in 9 percentages. If you did it within a reasonable word count, so I would say like if your finished word count was somewhere like 200 or under, that's fine. But if you found that your word count was over 200 words, it would be most likely that you didn't need to include 3 percentages for each country, because they're not very, very significant. I think like maybe 2 for each country would have been enough. So that's, if you did go over the word count, I would say that's how you could have remedied that particular issue. Right, so that's pretty much how I would have answered that question. Hopefully you've learned something from comparing your answer with that. Firstly, you just need to check if there is a connection between the information in the different charts. So if there's no connection, you're not going to make comparisons. It's easier to just divide them into different key features, whereas if there is a connection, you want to put them together in the key features and possibly put them together in the details paragraphs. And this kind of follows on. This is like, if you're doing this correctly, then this will follow, but make sure that you group the information in the details paragraphs in a logical way. And don't wait until you start writing the details paragraph to consider this. This should be done while you're planning the essay. So this is the question I want you to answer for me. I found this online and I had to add in the percentages myself. So don't worry if they don't look like the proportions are matching the percentages. Just follow the percentages that I've included, and we'll all have the same answers in our questions. The same percentages in our answers. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I want you to answer this question, post it in the comments under this video, and then I'll use your answers to make the global feedback for tomorrow. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys.